Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosin. I'm here with.
Hey everybody, it's Andrew Plank. It says backwards.
There we go.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing really well, feeling healthy and wealthy, and well, maybe not wealthy, but wise. Maybe not wise. I'm doing okay. The weather is awesome. I'm enjoying the last few days.
It's always You're enjoying the last few days of what?
Of everything. Just, if you're going to enjoy something, enjoy the moment and enjoy, the last few days. I'm trying to be appreciative.
How's real estate going for you?
It's been actually funny for me because what I've realized, last year was a banner year. This year already is doing quite well, but not like last year for sure. and it's been a little bit more. I'm always a little self-reflective in terms of my business, and I tend to do work on my business rather than in it. So that's kind of interesting and fun. But yeah, somebody asked me the other day, do you love your business? Do you still love it after 15 years? One of my clients asked me this, and I said, yeah, I really, 16 is it? Okay, 16 years, who's counting? Jane and I got licensed at the same time. So yeah, I still love it. There's times that I, find it frustrating and bothersome, and there's times when I just really, really love it. Most of the time, clients are amazing. Every once in a while, you get somebody that it's a little harder to work with. But overall, it's a really interesting business, and one of the things I really like about it is it's always different. There's always something different going on.
Yeah, and always a different cat in the background.
Yeah. I'm surprised there's not like more. Callie screams now when Sid chases her, and it's like a blood-curdling, horrific scream. So we're not murdering anyone here. It's just good times in the background.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we go over the market first and what the update is, and then we'll talk about how shifts are happening in real estate and what that means, how we're perceiving it, whether or not it's actually happening, because often what you and I perceive may not be the reality, although in the past we have been on point. So
we have been wrong, but we're more often right than wrong.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So all of a sudden I cannot share because Google, have you got the stats? I will share them with you.
Okay, Gmail, I've got the stats here. Let me see if I can pull this up and share a screen.
Okay, well, I'll do the first part. So in terms of what's happening in the past week with the Victoria Real Estate Board, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We have 637 net unconditional sales. That is down from last year, month to date. 1,116 as of.
And keep in mind, today is April 25th, so we are well into the month. Yes.
Yeah. New listings, 1,064, also down 30% from last year, which was 1,516 for the whole month. And active listings, we're at 1,305 compared to 1,454 for the month of April 2021.
Now, in some of our past shows, we've talked about the active listings numbers, and they've been down closer to the 1,000 mark. Did they get under 1,000?
Yeah, they did.
I think that was around December. That's pretty common to have much less active listings, but we've been really, really low on listings, but they are starting to bump up again. The new listings you can see are still lower than last year. I'm just going back up what you just talked about, but I just want to briefly comment on them. But yeah, that net unconditional sales at 637 is definitely, that number is surprising and interesting. And it's spoken further in the next range, which we'll go into now, this lower one, Market Watch. So we've got 345 new listings in the past week. And that's that green bar, and compare that green bar to that half-sized almost purple bar, 189 pending properties. So in the last week, 345 properties listed, but only 189 went pending.
Which explains the next one.
Yeah. So then, and there's been 67 price decreases, which is again much larger number than we've been seeing for a while, and a higher proportion to those two numbers above as well that we've seen for a while. 4 price increases, 1 back on market. There are various reasons for doing price increases and properties coming on and off market. Sold, we've talked about in the past ad nauseum, but those are properties that changed hands. That doesn't really have to do with the market so much as just the timing of when the contracts were closing. 11 properties actually expired unsold. So they went through a full listing contract. Listing contracts tend to run about a month to 3 months. They can run up to a year or whatever, but most of the time they're a month to 3 months, I would say, and usually 2 to 3 months is more common. So 11 of those expired unsold. 3 properties withdrawn. Any comments on that, Jane?
Yeah, so actually the minimum length of a contract is 60 days.
I think they dropped that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they dropped that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do a minimum of 4 months, and we fully expect to sell before that, but we do that just because we don't want to be signing paperwork halfway through when we're negotiating a transaction. But the expired is interesting to me because I've actually been working with some clients recently, and I noticed they were interested in a property, 2 of them actually, where the property was priced at a certain point, and then the agent dropped it below threshold. And I'm going to call it the tale of the 2 listing prices. So what's happening is often when you see the market, do you want to take that off?
I can do that. Yeah.
Often when you see pricing, and if you look at market value, and here's the top part of the market, and here's where like the main part of the market is. If an agent lists in the top of that triangle, before they were reaching an outlier, but I would say over the past 2 years, agents were still trying to list in that main part of the where the market value was, where the main people were looking. And what we're seeing now is some agents actually starting to list a little higher. And so then the listing stalls. And so when I talk about the tale of the 2 listing prices, one agent had listed at 1.5 something. And then they came back and they listed at 1.49. And when they listed at 1.5 something, they had crickets, like no action. When they brought it below 1, I think it was 1.489, they got 6 offers.
Mm-hmm.
And it sold for 1.6.
Yeah. Are you yeah, exactly. Are you finding that you're having much longer sort of success orientation meetings with your clients, like when you're first getting started with buyers, having to explain the market and all of its peculiarities? I mean, it takes a long time. It's a very weird market, and so trying to explain to people that when you see a price point. So what I've been seeing, like what you're commenting on, there are people who are listing a property at a price it would sell at, but they're not getting offers, and then they lower the price to something that's a ridiculous price, and then they get a whole bunch of offers, and then we are. The thing is, I think people are entrained to and expecting the properties will go above market, and so it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's an unfortunate one. The properties are listing at unrealistic prices, and if you list at a realistic price, you're punished. So it's hard because the basic consumer says, why are people listing at these ridiculous prices? Well, we're punished if we list it at the price it would actually sell for.
But I was in the office. I mean, this goes to show that you really need to be with an agent who has the same philosophy as you. Because I was in the office the other day, and this agent was proving a very good case about why you should list higher and negotiate down. And I'm like, I totally disagree. I mean, to their point, it was, you should be listing where you think that is your reservation price, where your reserve price, where you're not going to go below.
I agree. That's what I suggest to clients too.
Yeah.
But so if there's a price range, don't list at the top of the range. You're going to be punished. Price at the lowest price you'd actually be willing to accept.
Yeah. But at the same time, then I'm involved in other listings where there's still 12 offers because, and the 6 offers, I mean, that was a difference of 3%. The list price was a difference of 3%, and they got $100,000 more.
Mhm. Sorry, they got $100,000 more by
When they
getting.
went down 3%.
I see. Yeah.
So you just have to look. What I do is I go look and see what's listed, where it's listed, where the activity is happening. And talking about being punished, I actually lost a listing because they want to list in August. And I'm like, well, I can give you a strategy, but I'm not giving you a price. I can give you
And
a price right now, but I don't know what the price will be in August.
and you lost the listing because of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, people want information that they can dig into, I guess. But I mean, we can't predict what's going to happen in August. And if we give a price for August and the market changes dramatically and you're still stuck to that price, that's going to be problematic for everyone. I mean, that goes back to what I was saying earlier when you said, how's my day? I mean, you've got to live in the moment and you've got to live in the market at the moment. We could do a market analysis for a client. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. You could do a market analysis for a client and the market is telling you this, and you look at all the past and it's telling you this, and then the market could turn on a dime. And then you on the market for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and your client's saying, why haven't we sold? And you're saying, well, the market's shifted. You say, but you told me this price. The market's shifted.
So the one thing that I really learned from COVID was that the market can shift on a dime.
Yes, and both ways. And this is the thing that I'd like to just sort of touch on. We're going to talk about, I think we're talking about the market today, but right now it looks like there's some sort of shift coming in the sense that there's been a change in consumer sentiment. There's been a change in more listings coming on. Actually, I want to go back to that slide for a moment, but it's been more listings coming on. With COVID, we dropped off a cliff when COVID first hit, and the market went way down, but then it rebounded really rapidly. And so we can't take the last week and make a future prediction about it. We can talk about probabilities, we can talk about what might happen, but we can't really say for sure.
You have to be smart.
Yeah. I want to go back to this screen that we were just looking at, because I want to comment on one other thing when we look at these stats. And Jane, I want your comments on this, but it occurs to me when we look at the new listings at 345, green bar, and the pendings at 189. You know, this new listings, what happens is in this market, and what we've been talking about somewhat, is people are listing low and waiting a week to look at offers, 5 days, 6 days. So the fact that there's 345 new listings came on this week, 189 when pending, those 189 when pending were from the week before of listings. So if next week we see, closer to 300 sales or so, that's going to be because it's catching up from this week. What do you think of that?
I think you're overanalyzing it, but yes, I agree.
Well, the thing is, because this is spring and this is when people are bringing properties to market. And
Okay.
so there's a lot of marketers. This is a big spike at 345 over what we normally see as well for properties coming on market.
I agree. And if you were to look at the market over the course of the year, you will see that there's a natural fluctuation. And what Andrew's saying is right now we're seeing an abundance of listings coming on. But when we're looking at the pending is then showing what happened a week ago. And so we're really a week behind. The data on one is a week behind the other. However, that being said, there are bully offers that are still happening. And so we can't sort of generalize one way or another. Personally, I always try and list above or before April and May, because that's when the peak of listings just naturally happens. If you look at how fast the market's going and what you're talking about, list to sale ratio,
Mhm.
that's more something that happens in February. Things will start to slow down because now, if, for instance, I took a client out on Saturday and they wanted to see 7 properties and we got in to see 6. So then what happens is the mindset of the buyer is, you know what? I have choice. I'm going to wait. Whereas
Yeah.
before it would be like, I want to see 6 properties and we get to see 1. And so then they have to write on it. And there's also like the mindset of the buyer themselves, like what is it that you're pricing and how many have just sold and how many of them are out there and what are the options and where does it fit in the main scheme of thing when you're looking at pricing? Because sometimes you just may be hitting a gap in the market and that is what's needed. And so it will go fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen, and this is an interesting thing. You gave the analogy of like early, right at the beginning of this talk, you gave the analogy of like, um, stalling, and there's a couple of analogies I like to use about, so if the market's an airplane and it's going up, and you're trying to buy, you're trying to align your own airplane, your airplane's coming into alignment, your home is your listing is the airplane, and you're going to try to stay with the market, then you're generally going to, sell. But if you try to like go a little bit steeper, there's a chance you get too high above the market and you're just going to sit there and get lost behind and fall down. And you're going to have to come down below price point. So it's just not wise to try to, overcome the market. I think
Yeah.
I lost my plot there, but
Well, the thing is that because there's a lack of optimism and people are seeing the interest rates going up, is that the shift is happening because the mindset is that people are thinking we've reached the peak. And generally we peak and then we level off and then we go up and then we level off. And we've done that like 3 times over the past 2 years. So now I think we're kind of at a leveling off period. And so those outlier buyers at the top of the pyramid they're gone and we're more in the general. So what happens is instead of getting 20 offers on a property, maybe you'll get 2.
yeah. And when the market is going up, it tends to diverge more too. Like you'll find little pockets or areas or price points will start to, somebody sells here and they've got a comparable at this price. So when the new listing comes in that neighborhood, they say, well, I'm gonna sell here because the market's up, and I'm gonna sell here and I'm gonna sell here. The market itself hasn't actually gone up that fast in the broader spread, but there's these areas where you get these spikes up and these kind of downs. And so I think Jane alluded to this, but there's sometimes opportunities in certain subsets of the market. It's hard to recognize them. There's sometimes opportunities, and there's also sometimes fallacies around price, where we look at the comparables in that area and say, okay, this is what properties in this area are worth. But when we look at a broader scope, we say, you know what, actually, this area just spiked a little bit.
Well, it's like last year when I was working with a client in Gordon Head, and in January, there was literally 1 property coming on the market once a week. And she would say to me, well, what's it going to go for? I'm like, I don't know. How many people are going to offer? Like there were 20 people offering on properties. And then 4 months later in April, different client looking at exactly the same product. There were 12 listings. We literally had our choice. And we went into multiple offers and I think the list price was like $968 or something. And before they were selling for 1.1, we got it for 976 or something like that. Like it, and it was just timing because there was choice. And so there were more than one place for people to offer on.
And this is the dilemma for most buyers, is because they think, well, and I've seen buyers completely lose out from this, waiting a year to buy. The mindset is, there's no selection now, so maybe there'll be more selection later, and I can get a better price later. You may have more selection later, but if the markets continue to go up, you may have been priced out of the market. But people want to wait to see that. So there is a bit of a dilemma there.
Yeah, so Yvonne, who is a stager, she's in Calgary. She says, does it change the mindset of the seller that they now feel they need to present it better instead of thinking they can sell as is? That's what I heard a lot. It will sell anyway. And I agree. So Yvonne, like speaking to somebody who does what you do here in Victoria, when the market's going fast, they tend to have less work. And then when the market goes slower, they tend to realtors tend to employ them because and sellers tend to employ them because they want the house to show perfectly. And I've always been of the opinion, stage your house because
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that regardless of the market, sure, everything will sell in a certain market, but if you want to get the absolute top dollar and your place is staged and looks better than everything else, it's still going to pay more than pay for itself.
yeah,
But
and I think
there's
you
an
never
attitude that everything sells and I'm going to get above my asking price. So why am I concerned about it? But it's an investment and you'll get more.
So yesterday I was doing a market analysis for a house in Langford, and I was looking at the different listings and sell prices, and I noticed that the ones that were selling very high were presented very well.
Mhm.
And the ones that weren't, they were essentially the same house, but they just weren't presented well. And so, yes, absolutely, you do need to stage. And Yvonne is an amazing asset. So please connect with her if you live in Calgary.
Yvonne Lanstra, Lanstra. Does she have a company name or a
Yeah,
website?
she does. I'll find it.
Okay.
She was a guest on our show.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
I want to go back to the thing you were saying about listing before the market hits the most activity. You said, you like to list in March or April before you kind of get into the other stuff. I like to use another analogy, which is fishing. If you put your hook in the water before the salmon are coming into the inlet or into the bay, then you're going to catch the salmon when they arrive. And the buyers are the salmon, of course, and they're coming, as we know, in the spring. But if you put your hook in the water after they've all gone, which is going to be, July, August, they're off in Mexico, not Mexico, but they're off, enjoying the lake. There's not so many buyers. It's just not the same time. So don't put your hook in the water before. You don't want your hook in the water too long. The bait gets stale. But hey, come on. Expand on this. But you know what I mean? Like you can't catch something if the fish aren't there, and the fish are the buyers, and you've got to put your hook out there. You've got to put your home up for market, and the more attractive it is, staged, for example, the more nibbles you're going to get.
okay, so we're talking a lot about listings, but what about buying?
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're talking about shifting, I have a tip for people. Wait until the day of offers before you figure out your price on your contract of purchase and sale.
Before you wait until you're going to make your offer. But I mean, you still need to do some research into the market and look at comparables and all of that. So you're just saying you've done the research, but on that day is when you select the price, the final price. And so you're talking more game theory, like I'm going to select my price based on, okay, how many other offers are there and how many other properties are up for offers this day that are comparable, and how am I feeling today?
And ask the listing agent how many offers are in.
Yeah. The problem is you get everyone standing on the sidelines waiting to find out. And so I find that can be a difficult strategy to do. I sometimes ask my clients to prepare 2 offers, actually often. And one is, the assuming you're not competing, which good luck. But assuming you're not competing, let's put that offer forward and let's get that offer started right off the bat. And then we can put your offer in play. And then the other agent, the listing agent, can get out to the market and let everyone else who's interested know there's an offer in play. That may actually get some people who are on the fence to not offer.
Yeah.
And then if you find out you're competing, then you submit your second offer. Now, one time that almost bit me because I told the agent repeatedly, if you get another offer, let me know and we'll improve. This is our, first shot across the bow. And that agent saw our offer and thought, oh, that's so low or whatever, because it was asking price. That we weren't going to be in the running. So then her business partner called me to say, look, we've got another offer. I was like, okay, great. And we submitted an offer and we won it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I find that that strategy is a strategy I like, because for one, I don't want to be waiting till 2 p.m. on the Tuesday to find out there's now 1, 3, 5 offers and make my price strategy based on that.
Well, I do.
Mhm.
I do, because I just want all the information before I make the offer.
and-
But anyway, sometimes what I found being on the listing end is sometimes people don't ask the question, they submit an offer, and anyway.
And they just let it ride. I find it funny that people assume they're competing and sometimes they're not. And so you sometimes get an offer submitted before there's any competition that is unconditional and $50,000 above asking. How is that doing your clients a service if you're bringing that offer and then there's no other offers come to the table, or just one? So having the other offer in your back pocket, and yes, being able to shift at that moment, but you are ready to go. And so if there's some information that comes to light, absolutely, I'm calling my clients. I'm saying, look, this is what's happening. What do you want to do? Let's move our offer around a little bit.
Yeah, and buyers, keep your cell phones on.
Oh, great.
There's nothing worse than, or even sellers, there's nothing worse when you're dealing with an offer and all of a sudden, you have information you have to pass on. You can't get in touch with them.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's so there is a shift going on. There are possibly more properties on than previously. I mean, it's still, if this had happened 2 years ago, then we would have said this is an excellent market. So we're just a bit jaded, I think, now, because we have so much experience. What does Karen, our president of the board, have to say? Perhaps the buyer really wants the property, Andrew, and doesn't want to compete, so submits their highest and best offer immediately. Correct. And also, sometimes maybe they have a history of not winning in the past, and so then they submit and they just go all guns a-blazing.
Right. But if there's no other offers in, why are you going to put in the highest and best offer? The reason for making a really, really good offer, and we see this we're talking about when people are holding off offers till like Tuesday or Wednesday. If you're looking at a property that's just listed and they're not holding offers off, then absolutely there's a strategy and a benefit to making a really good, acceptable offer that the seller doesn't have to take too long to think about. So there's not an intervening offer. I'm just saying that if they're looking at offers on a certain date and time, and especially in a shifting market that we're talking about, there could be that nobody else comes to the table. And so
well, I think also sometimes people know that sellers are listing expecting more, and so the buyer may offer more because they think, and this has happened where the contract has been altered and the seller won't accept a lower or asking price.
yeah, and that happens too. And that comes back to getting that information from the listing agent, from talking to your clients, them making an informed decision. It's ultimately their choice, talking it through. But
Okay, so let's think about preemptive offers. They often come in substantially higher and try to stop other offers. Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
And so what a preemptive offer is if you say you're going to look at an offer on Thursday and then Tuesday an agent submits, or even sometimes they do it on like the Wednesday night. So it's just a little before everybody else, and it's getting in there and catches everybody off guard. And the purpose of the preemptive offer is that it will allow the first buyer a bit of an advantage, because everybody else will be playing catch up.
Potentially, or it entices the seller just to work with that offer right away. If it comes in Wednesday and they're looking at offers Thursday, it may not, and the seller's already aware of how much activity there's been. If they've had only 3 showings in the last week, and somebody brings a preemptive offer well above asking, they're going to probably look at that pretty seriously. If they've had 35 showings, it might be a little different.
Well, a preemptive offer is also being something where it's usually over asking. This is what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Karen, maybe you can comment if that's right. And generally they tend to be about 10% over asking. And the reason for that is because the buyer's saying, okay, well, if I offer you 10% over asking, I'm thinking you're going to take this offer because this is what you're likely to get in multiple offers anyway. And I just want you to consider my offer only.
And that preemptive offer is usually not open until the Thursday when they're looking at offers or what have you. It's got a limited time span. It's got an expiry date, and the seller has to think about whether or not that buyer is going to be back at the table with everyone else and if they're going to get better. And people sometimes roll the dice and win, and sometimes roll the dice and lose around preemptive offers.
Right. And so if you don't want a preemptive offer, you can tell your agent you don't want it. You sign a piece of paper and they let everybody else know. And if you are considering preemptive offers or whatever, I mean, I would say don't say no now that the market's shifting.
So let's talk more about, we keep saying the market's shifting, the market's shifting. Why do we feel the market's shifting? What is going on with the market that we say it's shifting? And do we think that this is a long-term shift? You've mentioned and said, and I agree, we're probably more like arriving at plateau. We're probably looking at a time where there's going to be more inventory. We may be looking at a time when there's a shift in strategies. But why do we feel this way? What's going on in the market that makes us feel this way?
So I work both sides of the market. It feels like when I'm listing a little higher, sometimes there are less showings happening. And I find that people are less likely to engage in multiple offers right now. And this is all dependent on list price. Okay. So this is working with the seller, and also I'm finding that for buyers, some of them are waiting to see, now that they see more product coming out, they're waiting to see what else is coming out. They might be able to get a better property than what they're seeing currently.
Now, we always see in the spring more property coming out and more inventory coming. So this is not uncommon to see more inventory at this time of year. And we often see a bit of a pause, right? But we're also hearing, and the media is telling us that, there's certain markets are overpriced or, reaching a really unaffordable level, Vancouver, Toronto, Victoria. We're seeing news from, we're seeing communications from the federal government about a cooling off period. We're seeing interest rates rising, which is going to be causing a shift for buyer affordability and for people maybe even holding their own mortgages and so forth and making all of their payments. So we are seeing some shifts that are fundamental to the marketplace, and we're seeing, and that is affecting consumer sentiment. And consumer sentiment is what drives the market. The market could be, there could be all kinds of really poor markers in the market. I forget, poor what's the word? Help me out here.
Indicators.
Indicators. Thank you. I couldn't come up. Poor indicators in the market. But if consumers are still raring to go, prices will continue to go up, and vice versa. But I think we're looking at a time where there's enough messages out there coming to the consumers that we're going to start seeing some shifts.
Yeah. And I would say, like, over the past 2 years, definitely one thing I've learned is what we're experiencing here in Victoria is not unique. It's all over the world. And, the price point may be different in different communities, but the shift over the past 2 years has been the same everywhere. So when you compare us to London, England, or whatever, we may not be in their price range, but the shift has happened there. Same thing with, all over the States from my clients. So everybody's just trying to adjust. All we're saying is really, like, put your ear to the ground, listen to your agent, take their advice. And we're offering tips and tricks. I know many people on here are agents who are watching us. So just play it smart, and, don't spend extra money if you don't have to, and be smart.
I think, the thing is you can look at this like, if the market shifts, how do we deal with that? If the market doesn't shift, how do we deal with that? What do we believe is going to happen here? But there's different strategies that are going to come about based on different markets. Karen says, do you want to post that?
Sure.
Based on the last month's sales to list ratio and now this month's sales to list ratio and the amount of showings and multiples on each property, but as Jane says, price point is a determining factor. It would appear the market is leveling out. Other markets are also experiencing the same.
I love to hear you. That's a big compliment.
So the real estate board puts out monthly stats, which we actually don't usually comment on the monthly stats. Well, we do actually once a month. We bring our synopsis.
We comment after we read your comments, Karen.
Karen does have a write-up once a month that she talks about what's going on in the market. We're glad to hear that she's listening to us.
I do think though, anyway, just, nothing lasts forever. I have lots of clients who have been very discouraged on the buying side, and nothing lasts forever. And, I always say, anyway, it's probably a bad analogy. The best time to plant a tree is now. What I'm saying is establishing your roots. So if you're going to buy and hold, it's always a good time, because just historically the market has never dropped, and it's a good investment.
And this may sound self-serving, but you know what? Even if the market is level or even dropping, it's not necessarily a bad time to be buying a home. In investing, they talk about dollar cost averaging and all kinds of things like that. You're obviously not dollar cost averaging on houses. You're not buying a house every month. But what you are doing is buying yourself, if it's your primary residence, you're buying yourself a secure place to live as opposed to being in a rental. You're buying yourself an investment that you start to pay down. And yes, people have come to expect and almost feel they deserve, a 10%, 50%, 25% rise in the value of your home every year. And so it's part of their bank account. But there are other reasons for buying a home. And when the shift comes again, you don't know when it's going to happen. And the rise starts to happen again really quickly, and the selection is diminished. When I have seen the market, I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox in a minute, but when I've seen the market shift to being lots of inventory and buyers being like so scared to buy, and there's so much inventory and they're afraid they can't make a selection because they've got an abundance of choice. And yet this is the best time to buy the best home on the market, because you're not competing with people and you can get the best area, the best price. Right now, you can sell anything on a busy street corner with a rotting foundation and mold in the attic, and people will compete to buy it.
Yeah. So the other thing to think about is when you don't have a choice is don't buy for the sake of buying, because you talk to your agent about resale value.
Yeah. You need to know what your 3 to 5 year plan at minimum is.
Okay. So have you got new listings coming up? Do you want to talk about them?
I actually do. I don't have anything right now coming to market. No, I'm mostly working with buyers, and this has been an interesting time to be working with buyers. So I'll let you talk on your folks. If you want to list a home, I'd be happy to help you. My dance card is not full right now for listings, but for buyers, I've got a pretty wide swath of buyers.
Okay, so I have a half duplex. We actually just got an accepted offer yesterday. We reviewed offers last night. So it was a 4-bed. It's actually really a 3-bed, 2-bath with an extra room downstairs, and was priced at $799. So we have conditions till Thursday. And then I have another listing that just is coming on the market today. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse on Vancouver Street, 422 Vancouver Street. And that is $699. And it's priced the way it is because it has a low contingency fund of about $8,600. It's self-managed. It's beautiful. The owner has done a great job of renovating it, and it has secure underground parking and a little workshop in its storage area.
Any pets allowed?
Yeah. Dogs and cats allowed. Standard rules.
I've got buyers looking for a place for 3 dogs.
You might be able to get it. You could probably ask for a vote because it's informal. Okay. It's only 4 units in Strata. Okay, so then, and then I've got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Sydney, right on the water by the Marina Park Marina. And that's on White Birch, and that's going to come on at the end of the week at $699. And it's got a deck and I was like taking video yesterday and last week, and I'm like, I love this place.
Nice.
And I have another listing coming on. It's a rental. It's a character home from the 1860s on Rockland. And I don't know the price of that yet. It's 3 bedrooms in the main house. Beautiful. Over height ceilings. And then it has a suite in the back, and it has a double car garage. A trifecta listing.
Sounds like a nice home. Yeah.
So
yeah, this is a lot of properties coming on market. I mean, very few for me, but quite a few for you. None for me this week. But you'll often have 1 or 2 coming to market. Now you just spouted off 4 or 5.
3.
3. Was it only 3? Oh, that sounded like more. You took some time to explain it.
Oh, I have another condo. It's a 1 bedroom. Karen says she's happy to help me purchase that place, Jane. It is beautiful. Anyway, it's number 3 at the Argosy, which is right beside Marina Park Marina. 699. Okay. I have a 1 bedroom condo on View Street, which we did list. We've just taken it off the market. We're going to be putting it back on the market next Monday. Just the tenant wasn't feeling well. So, and that is at $398. And it's rentable.
It's a great price.
Yeah. What about needs and wants?
Needs and wants? Well, I mean, I need a townhouse or similar. I'm not going to find a home in this price point, somewhere under probably 800,000. But it allows 3 dogs. I need a home, essentially 2 bed, 2 bath or more, with a basement or some sort of space for folks to practice their drums and play guitar. And that's under, I'd say, 1.1 to 1.3, depending on what it's got. I've got a buyer for a sort of starter condo around, 1 bed, 1 bath, must have a balcony, in-suite laundry preferred, but not necessary, up to about 520. And then another client, similar configuration, must have in-suite laundry, must have allowed dogs, up to 525, 535. Pretty much anywhere in the core. Got folks looking for a farm. I've got, you name it. I've got people looking for it, but those are kind of the current ones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll keep my eye open for you.
Thank you.
All right. So next week we're going to be at the end of the month. So we're going to do our stats update for year to date for the first quarter.
Exciting. Okay. Yeah. And if you have questions about the market in general or want to see some more stats, thank you, Karen.
Yes. Thank you for watching. And so how do they get in touch with us?
Sure. Well, they can reach me. You can reach me at 250-360-6106 or info@andrewplank.com is my email. You can check out my website, andrewplank.com. There's a great bio there. Or if you're an agent watching us, just touch base me. It's how we communicate as agents.
Yeah. And if you want to reach me, hold on. I just got rid of that. My name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. My kids memorized that by the time they were 5 years old. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And you can visit us at vancouverislandtime.com to see all these videos, or you can visit my website at briarhillgroup.com to learn about buying and selling homes in Victoria. Don't forget every week to subscribe. All right, you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you later. Thanks, Andrew, again. Love chatting with you.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.